Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too welcome you, Madam Secretary, and Mr. Deputy Secretary, and I encourage both of you to visit Puerto Rico as soon as possible. My district is home to 5 national wildlife refuges, 1 important National Park Service unit, the San Juan National Historic Site, and although not under the direct purview of the Secretary, a gem in the U.S. forest system, El Yunque National Forest, where the Interior Department is helping advance cutting-edge climate science. I quickly want to emphasize a few parts of the Department's budget and mission that I support and that have great relevance for Puerto Rico. First, the Department is supporting ecosystem-based resource management decisions in Puerto Rico in an integrated fashion with the local community through a landscape conservation cooperative, or LCC, approach that your predecessor launched nationally in 2010. The Caribbean LCC, the most recent one formed, is bringing the best available science to bear to preserve habitat and respond to climate change effects on land, water, ocean, fish, and wildlife, and cultural heritage resources in Puerto Rico. This is a great synergy of all the resource agencies and non-federal partners, and I urge the Department to continue budgeting resources for the national network of LCCs. My second point relates to funding for the National Wildlife Refuge System. The 3 refuge units in particular in Puerto Rico, Cabo Rojo, Culebra, and Vieques, have a significant backlog of maintenance projects totaling roughly $50 million. The refuges on Culebra and Vieques are directly relevant to the economies of the 2 island municipalities in which they are located. The Fish and Wildlife Service currently controls over half of the island of Vieques and about a quarter of Culebra. As a large land manager, it is important that the service continue working with the Department of Defense and local authorities to expedite the cleanup of these former military training range lands. While cleanup progress has been made, much remains to be done, and as areas are cleaned up, according to the final remedy reached between DOD, Interior, EPA, and the local government, opportunities for transfer of the lands from Interior to the local government will become very important. Last year, I raised these opportunities at a subcommittee hearing and would like your commitment, Madam Secretary, to work on advancing the dialogue inside the Department about ways to rescale the Vieques National Wildlife Refuge so that lands currently within its boundaries can be opened for local economic development and recreational purposes, including through the possibility of legislation to transfer title. I don't want to burden you with more oversight because I join my colleagues in commending your responsiveness, the Department's responsiveness to all the requests and subpoenas that you have received from this committee. But I tell you, I respectfully urge you to take a look at the size of the wildlife refuge in Vieques. Is huge. And if there are opportunities to assist Puerto Rico and the government of Puerto Rico in particular, which is going through an economic crisis right now, so that we can develop some of those lands, use them for valid, economic development purposes, please have an open mind there. Lastly, as we approach the centennial of the National Park Service in 2016, I want to highlight the role that Old San Juan and the National Park Service unit on our island fulfills for the preservation and interpretation of our Hispanic heritage. The unit protects evidence of Spain's history in what is now the United States, the forts of El Morro, San Cristobal, and San Jerónimo. There is an incredible story to tell through interpretation of these structures, and preservation of these forts and the old city walls is key to our cultural identity and to our tourism sector. By the way, Mr. Chairman, I urge you at some point to hold a hearing in Puerto Rico. I mean, those forts are amazing, and they're treasures for our nation. And the Department of the Interior is really the watchdog. It's really the one overseeing, acting in a way as a protector of those sites. There are ongoing projects particularly a trail surrounding El Morro Fort that I would urge you to oversee, as well as a study dealing with the San Jeronimo Fort, which is not part of the park system presently, but which is connected to both El Morro Fort and the San Cristobal Fort. So please take a look at those matters, and if you would like to comment.
Give a very brief response. First, I'd like nothing more than to go to Puerto Rico after this winter here. I'm very interested in working with you on Vieques and potential legislation. I do understand the importance of the economy and outdoor recreation as a very important part of that economy for Puerto Rico, and so we would be very happy to advance that dialogue, as well as on the forts that you referenced. Park Service has done work to really help tell the story of Latinos within the broad United States, and this is a good opportunity to do that. I'd also say on the landscape conservation cooperatives, we have $17.7 million in the budget, and that is an increase over where we are for this year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Time of the gentleman has expired. The recognized gentleman from Alaska, Mr. Young.